I feel like you are going to struggle. Life, you're gonna struggle, and you're not gonna understand why you feel the way you do or why this thing has happened to you. And you're never gonna understand. And you just need to have faith that it's gonna work out in a better way for you. It's all like done for like our good, even when we don't see it in the moment. Like, you just need to like keep on holding on strong as you can.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mental Locker Room, a podcast talking with current and former student athletes about mental health and the struggles and things that you go through as a college athlete. Today, I am here with Miss Tori Grambo, who happens to be one of my best friends. So I'm lucky enough to have her as the first guest on my podcast. But today with Tori, we'll be talking about a few things: transferring, identity in sport, anything in between. So Tori, just to start off, give us a brief introduction. Who are you? Where do you play? Why did you transfer?
I'm Tori Grambo. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I originally started my college career at UF. I probably committed when I was a sophomore in high school, and then I stayed there for 4 years, and then I transferred to the University of Miami to do my 5th and 6th year there.
So 5th and 6th year, can you kind of explain how you got this extra years of eligibility?
So when I first went to UF, I actually graduated a semester early from high school. So I went in January 2020, and that's right when COVID started. So I got a COVID year out of that, and then I redshirted my sophomore year because I had surgery. So 2 extra.
So getting into transferring from your transition from UF to, can you talk about like the process of transferring and like how did that affect your mental and emotional well-being, and what steps did you take to manage that transition?
Yeah, so it was really hard for me to make the decision to leave UF because it is such a wonderful place there, but
The best.
yeah, seriously, like it is really hard to leave, but I had to look at all aspects and like what my priorities were. And a lot of that was being able to rely on myself and like trust my own abilities and believe that I could take my talent somewhere else and get more out of soccer with what I wanted. So that was a really, really hard decision to make. And then in that time period in between where I was going, the schools I was looking at and everything, it is such an up and down. Like, you never know what's gonna happen, like who's gonna reach out or whatever. And so it was really hard the first few days because I wasn't necessarily getting the stuff that I wanted, but I also waited until the day the transfer portal closed. So I really was in at the end, but it was really an emotional time. And honestly, it's kind of where I like started to have faith in God and stuff, releasing that on my own and just letting whatever happen is going to happen. And I ended up at the best place for myself I could have ended up at. My story here has been so amazing so far, making it all worth it, honestly.
I've been following you literally every single game. I'm screaming at the TV watching you play. But, obviously during that time we were kind of going through pretty similar things, both leaving Florida, and relying on yourself and your faith is so important. But I also was wondering, like, how did relationships with people in your life, teammates, coaches, faculty, like, how did that affect you? Like, do you feel welcomed going into Miami? Like, how was that process?
So in the aspect of leaving UF, it was definitely a little weird, which I think is probably going to be anywhere you go. I definitely had some really great support systems. And then the other side of it, some people that maybe didn't understand what I was doing. And that wasn't my fault. It's not their fault. It's just something that happens. But honestly, you were my roommate. My roommates and my now fiance, like, were the like complete kept me going because we were all honestly going through the same thing, which made it so much better to really have a support system around me, because honestly, like, doing that like around myself would have been so much harder. Going into Miami, like, they were a really great group of people, of girls, of staff. Everyone was new there. I think we had more new girls and transfers coming onto the team than there were returners because we had a brand new coach. So it was his first year too. So it was really awesome, the kind of environment we were able to create coming in. We all got along super well, but it was definitely really hard my first semester because I didn't have the same relationships that I did at Florida. Like, you guys were like my best friends like I've ever had, and it was so different. Like, leaving and wasn't the same, but it
Yeah,
was
no,
really good.
I mean, I totally understand. I feel like I think about us living together, all of us, every single day. Those relationships are what make, life worth it. And especially going through college soccer and transferring and stuff and how difficult that is. I don't think I would have been able to get through it either if I didn't have you guys there.
Dude, no. Like, not even like the slightest.
Not in a million years. Like, what a hard time. But how blessed are we that we had each other there?
That's what I like keep thinking to myself. How lucky are we that we had something to miss so much, like, in our lives? The fact that we're all still like planning up and meeting up with each other. Like, you guys are literally gonna be in my wedding. Like,
I know, I can't even believe it. I think back to when we first moved in together and we were all like, oh, is this gonna work? But I mean, it's again in that situation, it is especially so hard to pick up and leave though, when you have something that is just perfect around you. Because I mean, that stepping out of your comfort zone especially is even more difficult when you're comfortable in multiple aspects of your life.
yeah. Like, looking at like the goals we wanted in our lives, like, I'm so thankful we had that last year together to create something so special that helped us through the next step. Like, I think about it all the time. Like, if I had left earlier and like if timing was any different, like, it wouldn't have worked out the way that it has now, and like we wouldn't be in the situation that we are in now.
Our lives would have been totally different. That being said, if you're gonna speak to somebody who's younger or looking to transfer right now, what would you say to them?
I think a big part of it is, first, why are you transferring? What is the reason? Do you want more out of soccer? Is it just the place isn't the right fit for you? Is it the people? Like, whatever it is, really make sure that it is something that you're doing for you and not because other people around you are upset. I was going to transfer out, I think it was my sophomore or junior year, when we had our second coach, and literally everyone would come into the locker room crying before practice, before walk into the weight room crying. I was out. I wasn't playing. I was redshirted because I had surgery, but
You're on your little scooter.
yes, I was literally just watching it all unfold, and my roommates would come home every single day crying, saying how horrible it is. It felt so bad for them and everyone on the team, but it wasn't also my pain to feel. I wasn't going through what they were going through, but it took such a toll on me that I think I need to leave.
Yeah.
But also, I'm so glad that I didn't. And I went through and I got my degree from Florida and stuff, and I learned so much. I wouldn't change a thing, but I would really say to whoever is looking to transfer, make sure you're doing it for you and you have an idea of what you want out of it.
Yeah. Adding to that, I mean, tell me if you would agree with this. Also, picking a place that will be relevant to your life outside of your sport.
Coaches matter. Don't go just for the coach, but they matter. They could easily go and retire. That literally happened. After my freshman year, my coaches all retired. And then I was all like blown up in my face, I felt like. But I loved UF. I loved the campus. I loved the school. I was getting a really good degree. And the people around me were amazing. So I was okay, even though my coaches left. But it is something you want to make sure that you're not going to be constantly fighting. If you do stay, like, you want to make sure you're on the same page, same style of play. All of that is really important.
Talking about like your overall goals, like you have high aspirations. Like, do you think transferring impacted your athletic career in a positive way in terms of like development as an athlete and your overall goals?
100%. I say it's the best decision I've made for myself as an athlete out of all of the decisions I've ever made, even going to UF. I think transferring to Miami has been the best decision I could have made for myself. And I'm really proud that I was able to believe in myself and go forward and have the confidence to do that. In the situation I would have stayed in, the opportunities I'm getting now and like knowing like who I am as a player, I always went back to that. And I'm really thankful for my freshman year at Florida. I started and played outside back like 90 minutes a game. And I had the greatest time and I learned so much under that staff. And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have had the knowledge of what college could be for myself. I wouldn't have known. And honestly, I don't know if I'd still be playing soccer. I don't know if I would have the aspiration to go pro after the whole years after that. So I think it has been such an amazing thing for me.
This gives us like a perfect tailwind into identity in sport, because obviously making that move for you has helped you so much with your aspirations. But talking about you as a person, how do you think that soccer has shaped your view of yourself as a person, both on and off the field? And did you ever feel soccer defined your entire life? Did you ever feel defined by your achievements?
Oh, so I went through a lot of injuries, and I had 4 different surgeries. And
Crazy.
yeah, I think the first 2 were in high school, right before I came into college, and that really gave me a sense that soccer isn't everything in life, because back then my whole identity was soccer. All of the achievements I've made, the commitment I made to UF, my whole life was that, and what I based my self-worth on. And I do think there's a balance. You do need to be disciplined. You're going to have to give up things to really excel in your sport. But I was doing it so far. I wasn't going and doing things with my friends and things like that. And that really gave me a good balance of what it should have been. So that was the first break of my identity at the time. And then the next one was definitely while I was in college, getting ready to transfer. And that's where my identity in Christ really came about. And during that time in the transfer portal, I really had to learn to just let go. It's not the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
And you do the best of what you can with what's put in front of you, but it shouldn't be idolized over everything.
Sometimes we forget it's just a game.
Yes. Like, and there's so many different ways that you can do good in your life. Yes, we all worked for our sport and everything. It just shouldn't be the end all be all. And I really learned wherever I end up, like, I'm going to make the most of it and do the best of what is put in front of me. And I feel I really have done that. And it really grew my trust I had in God and everything. Like, without that, like, I wouldn't have been able I don't think I would be where I am today. And I think going to Miami was sort of like part of that, like, plan for me to leave and like be where I am now with my faith too.
It like makes me emotional because I've known you for so long. Just like seeing like the woman that you've grown into, also like my best friend, it just like literally like makes me emotional because I'm just like so proud of you. Like, it's true. It's true.
No, I've really changed. Like it's crazy to me looking back at like how I used to like. I've always like tried to be a good person, but like how I used to live my life and everything, like no wonder I was like suffering so much in a sense through all of these things, which I think I did have to go through to like get to the point where I am now and have like so much peace in my life.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, it's amazing, Tori. Kind of segueing, talking about social media, society, expectations, pressures. Do you think that there's like societal expectations that athletes, like especially Division I athletes, have put on them when they're forced to identify with their sport?
Definitely. And I feel I don't want to like keep going back to like God and everything, but that's where like my mind goes to. I used to care so much about what other people think. And if I messed up, that's so embarrassing, or things that just going outside of those expectations and like having them have so much weight in my life, like it creates so much anxiety. There would be times like I wouldn't be able to sleep. I had no trust in my own abilities because I was just so worried. What if I can't do it? What if? And that's where I've really grown out of that. And I'm really proud to say that because it used to have such a hold on my life. My anxiety used to be through the roof from expectations not being good enough and just not really understanding either. You need to like care about other people, of course, but their opinions of you aren't the end all be all. It should not matter.
Yeah, like who cares what like their 15738 has to say?
Yeah, like
Check out of the comment sections,
dude. For real, stay out of Instagram reels. Like, so bad.
It's awful. It's actually awful. It makes me so sad that like as a society, people like us go to college to play a game that we're so passionate about and that we love, and other people who are unable to play that game, haven't gotten there, are like online saying all these things. You know, you don't get really treated like a human being behind a phone screen. It's crazy.
No, it's so easy for people to say whatever they want to say when they're not putting an actual conversation in front of you. They can say something and leave it and go like, okay.
I don't care what that does to them.
No, literally, like there's no like humanity in that.
That goes into the idea that like with identity, there's so many things that you know, athletes will see and feel like they have to change. Do you think that, like, from your point of view, athletes are expected to like sacrifice parts of their personal identity in order to fit the mold of a competitive Division I athlete?
There's a really fine line between sacrifices you have to make in order to excel at your sport. And in that sense, going out all the time, your nutrition, everything is a little bit different than the average person, but it shouldn't take away like who you are and the things you like to do. It should never make you feel like you lose yourself.
No, 100%. I mean, I can't even probably count how many days when we lived together that one of us would just come out of the room sobbing solely just because of a sport.
No, like it literally is.
It felt life ending.
And the same thing, not even just for your sport, your coaches, what they think of you. I can't tell you how many times I have had younger girls say something like, oh, I'm so scared if they yell at me, or I'm so scared what they think or what they're going to say to me. They're still a person at the end of the day, too. It shouldn't hold so much weight on a person where you're afraid to be yourself. We turn into robots sometimes because you're so afraid of messing up. That, or you go and you overanalyze every tiny little word said by a coach to you. You lose all sense of like freedom in your game. Like if you let it get to you that much, like, and I feel like that I definitely went through that too, like at UF. Like I felt like I was just trying to fit this cookie cutter mold to be and people please the best that I could to try to get where I was, and I was losing all sense of the type of player that I was.
So how do you maintain like a sense of who you are beyond just being an athlete? Like are there things that you do? What are some like big things that you would say how you maintain sense of self?
I think I've recently learned a lot about this, and it's really a check and balance kind of thing. It's always going to kind of sway of the things you need to do, and you really need to focus on the things that make you feel good. Like if I go a day or two without talking to my parents, I start to be something doesn't feel right. I call my parents every day. I try to talk. If I start not reaching out to you guys as much, or I feel like I haven't heard from you guys as much, I definitely feel like that's something super important for me to like balance all aspects of my life. And again, like a lot of that comes back to like my faith in God. Like I try to read my Bible every day. Like if I go days without or like without journaling, it really like makes me off-centered. And you know the difference, and you get the anxiety and you get all of these negative feelings, and you're like, I don't understand why I'm feeling like this. But it's a learning process of the things that you need to do for yourself to make you feel good.
Yeah. No, 100%. I feel that's really difficult to learn also, especially when you're playing a college sport. You feel like you're in this constant loop of like anxiety.
Yeah, it's like, either soccer school, homework, like
sleep
crying.
A little bit somewhere in there.
Yeah,
if you can. I mean, it's crazy. Finding those things I feel is so important. And I feel it's even more wild because I didn't find those things or anything like that for me until I was a senior, 5th year. I don't know if you can attest to this as well, but at the end of our college careers, that's when we finally find ways to regulate and help ourselves. And we just tortured ourselves for the first 3.
And there's not going to be like a perfect potion to give someone to be, oh, this is exactly what you have to do to make yourself feel good and make sure blah, blah, blah. That's just not going to happen. It's so individual. I know girls that maybe need a lot more social time than I do, and they need to go out with their friends and go meet other people and all the things. I don't necessarily need that all the time. Like I need my like core group of girls that I like have and like bonded with, like love them. Like I need those groups, but I don't necessarily need to go out on the weekends and like do all of that. Yeah. For me, when I go and do that, it brings me anxiety and like makes me not feel as good. But I know so many other girls, they need that to feel good. So like it's gonna vary for every other person.
I mean, you already know that. If I'm not,
yeah, you guys are crazy, by the way. But I love you guys.
I feel like it's important also, and I know that you can agree to this. Even when you're doing these things, you're still gonna have bad days, but that does not mean it's end all be all.
Yeah.
Can you agree with that?
Yeah, that again, I feel you are going to struggle. Life, you're gonna struggle, and you're not gonna understand why you feel the way you do or why this thing has happened to you. And you're never gonna understand. And you just need to have faith that it's gonna work out in a better way for you. Like, it's all like done for like our good, even when we don't see it in the moment. Like, you just need to like keep on holding on strong as you can.
Yep. Everything is a lesson, in my
Mm,
opinion. Every good thing, every
yeah.
bad thing, it's a lesson. I mean, if there's anybody to look at that, like, feel like it would be you, the amount of
Mm,
injury, you're going into your sixth year of college. Like, you have crazy, but I'm so honestly grateful that the girls that are coming in underneath you, those freshmen, those sophomores, those underclassmen, they have somebody like you to look up to. That's going to
They
better
will.
their. I mean, they're going to look at you and be like, oh my gosh, you're going to celebrate your 24th birthday in
Literally
college?
stop. Like, I actually get made fun of every day. There is not a single day on this team I'm not told how old I am.
I understand.
Anyways, continue on. Continue
No.
on. We don't need to talk about how old I am.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, thank you so much, Tori, for coming on to my podcast and being such a very special first guest. I am absolutely so grateful and, cannot wait to support Tori along the way and watch as she pursues her career in the future. I hope anybody who watched this could learn a little something. So,
Well, thank you. I'm so grateful to be here and like support you and everything that you do with as much as you have supported me my whole time being here. So, love you.
oh, I love you.